right, hello everybody and welcome to Low Budget Productions 101. So I'm Scott Conway, this is my wife Gillian Ward. This is episode 1 of what we think will be an upcoming interview series between the two of us. So if anybody knows anything about Gillian, you know that she leaves nothing to chance, which includes scripting all of the questions that she wants me to ask her. So I'm just here to read the phone. So anyway, without any further ado, question number 1, as written by Gillian, as answered by Gillian. So tell us a little bit about what you have coming up in the very near future, and what inspired you to make this decision after 7 years of retirement in the sport?
So 18 weeks from yesterday, I'm going to be returning to the sport of bodybuilding, competing in the IFBB Ben Weider Naturals Pro as a pro women's physique competitor.
Okay, so you mentioned pro women's physique. So for those who may not know much or anything really at all about bodybuilding, what is physique?
So physique is one of the categories. Bodybuilding is an encompassing term which now includes a bunch of different categories where the human body is judged or on display, and bodybuilding encompasses everything ranging from bikini competition, which is the least muscular class in terms of size, all the way up to women's bodybuilding, which is the most muscular class. Women's physique the women's physique division falls in one before bodybuilding in the size of the competitor and the condition.
Okay.
And by condition, that is just the level of leanness and muscularity.
Okay. And when you talk about least muscular, most muscular, we're not trying to insult any of the competitors, but we're just talking in terms of mass of the
In terms of
muscle.
mass, there's a lot of other things that differentiate the categories in terms of the overall shape of the physique. So it's not just purely the least muscular is this and the most muscular is this. The aesthetic ideal that is examined differs in each of the categories.
And there's different categories for men as well, but we'll
Correct.
not get into that.
Correct.
Because you're not competing in that.
No.
You didn't retire from anything like that.
So I guess you said the word retire. So yeah, I have not competed for 7 years.
Okay.
And while that retirement is a word, I never officially retired. So when I stepped away from competition 7 years ago, I did not know that it was going to be 7 years before I competed again.
Okay. All right, well, welcome back. So this is our first YouTube video on the topic. Can you tell us, this is different from your last time, 7 years ago. So why are you choosing to share your journey over the next 18 weeks so publicly? What is different this time from previous times that you've competed?
So the difference is there's two different reasons why I am choosing to share this. One of them is very selfish and personal. Previously, I defined how I felt about my competition and my time leading up to competition by the result of the competition.
Okay.
So rather than measuring what I was putting in each and every day, the entire definition of how much work I put in, how I did, was based on how the judges, what my placing was.
Okay.
You know, it's very, very easy to look back into history and to judge it and say, I could have done this, I should have done this, I would have done this. So for me to be able to have a history, essentially my journal and diary of what the experience, and I challenge myself every day to bring my best. And it's to have a voice. The one place that I always struggled personally with bodybuilding, or what I do with the sport of bodybuilding, was that judgment was entirely on, and it is, on my physique and what I look like on stage next to the other competitors. And where I struggled with it is I felt that I was a body with the absence of a voice.
Right.
And I believe my greatest strengths are really not anything that is on the outside, but it is the message that I have, the things that I educate and communicate about. So it was important to me to share in that, both from self-reflection of the journey and the process, and to be able to share it with others and to project reality.
Right.
So I think one of the things that that I talk about very, very often is that we live in a time that we are constantly bombarded with false imagery, whether that's videos or photos that have been altered, or whether that's humans that have been altered.
Right.
and we compare ourselves to an ideal that is not real. The other thing is we see people that are incredibly fit and trim and very, very lean, and we believe that that is what they look like all the time.
Right.
And some of them do. But I wanted to share with people, like, what is it really like? What does a healthy woman really look like
Right.
when she is 5 months out from the stage?
Well, and that brings up a good point, because the last time you competed, you were just shy of your 40th birthday, and when you compete this time, you're going to be 47 years old. So what has changed for you in that time, and how do you believe that your age might play into the results or the process of the next 18 weeks?
So my entire reasoning for competing is different now, and my priority of what is important to me is different now. 40 and prior to that, what was most important to me was achievement, was winning, was setting world records, was being the best in the world, was doing things physically that no human had done before. So my first priority was physical performance and breaking all boundaries and limits. And I feel very different now. I am a 47-year-old woman, and what's most important to me, above performance and not synonymous with performance, is overall health, physical, mental, and emotional. And that now takes precedence. So it's not about what can I do right now, leave it all out there. I will do this. If it kills me, I will set this record.
Right.
If it kills me, I want to live long, happy life with you, hand in hand, when we're 85 years old. And that is what's most important to me. So my outlook about it is very, very different. The other thing that I think that has come with time is an amount of wisdom, and realizing that it's not anything about this singular moment. It's not about achieving this great, amazing thing that nobody has done before. It is about really just being exceptional to the mundane things in life,
Right.
putting in the attention to detail, repetition, pushing my ego aside.
Right. So, not on the list of questions, but we were having a conversation earlier today on our walk, and you brought up a friend of ours who said something to you 7 years ago when you were competing. Would you like to share with everybody what that is?
Said, Gillian, I don't like you when you're competing, because when you're lean, you're mean.
Right. So I think one of the differences here is to show people that you can do this while not alienating everyone within your circle. You know, bring them along in the journey, correct?
And part of doing it publicly is for more awareness for me. Because previously when I competed, it was such a private endeavor that if I was struggling with things, the people around me, I kept it from them, and
Right.
they didn't know that. So I believe putting it out there in a selfish way raises the accountability for me. And when I am going through those darker times at the end, when my calories are very low, when my body fat is very low, which causes all kinds of changes, that people understand what it is that I'm going through.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm not asking for anybody to treat me any differently because of it, but I think it's just a comprehension of, so I'm gonna be very honest. Previous times that I've competed, I have hit it, I've walked around in baggy stuff. I have run into people in grocery stores and other things a few weeks out from competition, and they thought that I was like terminally ill, possibly had a terminal cancer, you know, very, very drawn, very, very thin. And it was like, you know, I hid the entire process from people. And I believe, again, first and foremost, I consider myself, the thing I am most proud of is being a coach and educator. And that's really why I'm sharing this.
All right. So you talked about accountability, and we've talked about, you know, our CAT model for coaching: consequences, accountability, and trust. You're not just accountable to your friends and family, but now you are, for, you know, the first time, at least since I've known you, you are accountable to a coach. So
Yes.
you have been in this industry for over 30 years, or just about 30 years, and now you are turning the reins over to a coach. So can you talk to me, or to us, a little bit more about your decision? And I apologize for all the wind noise, because you'll hear wind and birds and frogs. But talk to us a little bit more about your decision to hire a coach, what went into your decision process in selecting the coach, and what you hope to get out of turning the reins over so that someone can coach the coach who has so successfully helped other clients get to their goals?
I think I recognized me as a coach that I would have blind spots, that my needs, that I could not see things clearly for myself. So I believe that I could probably take myself
One cut, bugs included.
90% of the way there, but that last 10%, I think I would start to question myself, possibly have self-doubt. And when you are in those very vulnerable stages at the end is probably when you need outside eyes on you the most. And the other thing I recognized is I wanted to bring something different to the table this time than I did previously. And I see things one way, so I was going to bring the same thing to the table, and I wanted a different perspective. So I've mentioned this before, not in this video, and for those people that haven't followed it, is when I previously competed in bodybuilding, even at the professional level, I did not train like a bodybuilder.
Right. How did you train?
I trained like a strength athlete, a power athlete, a CrossFit athlete, a gymnast, basically a combination of all of those things. And I simultaneously competed in powerlifting, Olympic lifting, CrossFit style competitions, and some strongman competitions, all at the same time that I was competing in bodybuilding. So what I brought to the table, as a bodybuilder, like I wasn't actually training like a bodybuilder, and I had never given it, I don't think I recognized or fully appreciated what the discipline entailed.
Okay, so we talked about the T in CAT being trust. How difficult was it for you selecting a coach or coaches that are younger than you for you to trust them when they may not have the wealth of experience that you've accumulated over your career?
Extremely difficult, and I admit there was some amount of age bias. I interviewed nearly 10 coaches. And what I wanted to find was somebody with a level of maturity, somebody that could collaborate with me, somebody where there were no absolutes, somebody that wasn't going to say, we're going to do keto, or this is what your cardio protocol is going to be coming out of the gate when we're 20 weeks out from the show. I wanted somebody that was going to listen to me and my feedback, to make the adjustments, to utilize the scientific process to see what was working, make small changes, keeping in mind that my absolute priority was my overall health. And it's not coming to the stage to win a trophy, to win a medal, to win some prize money, but I would only do this if I could maintain my physical and mental health. So that was the number one thing. I wanted someone that had a level of experience working with my demographic. So that was also very, very important to me, that they have that level of experience. I got lost for a second.
All right, so allowing the interviewer to bring you back on target. So you've worked with coaches before, correct?
I have.
So you had a coach last year that helped you probably break some of the biases that you may have had against a younger coach.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about him real
Yep.
quick?
Yep, I worked with Hunter Pauly from RP on some nutrition last year, and he is a male in his 20s, and I was a little bit skeptical going in because I was like, what could a roughly 25-year-old male know about a 45-plus-year-old woman? And I had the most fantastic experience, and it helped me kind of dismiss some of my age biases.
Right, and Hunter's really cool, by the way. If you don't follow him on Instagram, please do. Hunter Pauly. His overlanding videos are spectacular. His nature photography is phenomenal. This video is not sponsored by anybody. He's just like a really cool guy. So that was Hunter last year. You want to talk about your coaches? Your coaches right now. Who are they?
My current coaches, my opposing coach is Amanda Harris. She's Team Legacy Trainers. She is a personal friend. She has been in the industry a very long time, both as a coach and as an IFBB Pro Women's Physique competitor.
And she has an incredible eye.
She has an incredible eye.
Yes.
And it was very interesting to choose to work with a friend.
Yeah.
So that is something that I struggled with a little bit. I'm like, the friendship, the coaching relationship, but I believe for my opposing that there is nobody better for the job.
Well, you already have the trust, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. And then in terms of my training and diet, I am working with JJ Barrett from Tulum Strength Club. I think his name is pronounced Jean-Jacques, but I could be wrong, but Coach JJ, he was referred by Stacy Stanton, a close personal friend of mine, and after interviewing many coaches, I felt like he was the absolute best fit for me because he truly understood my priorities, and I felt like the coaching relationship was going to be a collaboration.
All right. When you had talked about your demographic being important, and JJ works with a lot of people in that demographic.
Yes.
So, all right, you're 6 weeks into this.
6 weeks into the prep.
Into
Yep.
the prep,
Yep.
6 weeks into the prep. So tell us how the last 6 weeks have been, both here in our gym, in the other gym that we work out, and in our home in there.
So prior to those 6 weeks, you and I had some long discussions about this.
Very long, very detailed.
It took quite a bit of time for me to even speak up about a desire to compete again.
Right.
So for me, that was something that during a period of transitional years and other stuff, I had kind of shelved for a while. But for somebody that has been competing since I was 2.5, 3 years old, like it was still in there. So I thought about this for a period of time, and I finally brought it up. And it's nothing we have ever known in life together, because since we've been together, I have not been competing.
Correct.
So we had a great talk about it. We had several talks about it, and we decided
Many,
that now is a good time in life. We're pretty established, we're settled, there's not that many moving parts going on, and that we could commit to this time period. So
Right.
it started with that. And the other thing was to evaluate what were going to be our biggest obstacles for us both together,
Right.
and for me going into this. And one of the things was breaking a habit that we really enjoyed. I promise full disclosure on this, but Scott and I very much during COVID and after started to enjoy afternoon happy hour.
Cocktail hour. Who
Cocktail
doesn't love a
hour.
good cocktail hour?
So nothing excessive, glass of wine or two, a beer, but that is something that became somewhat part of our lives. And those of you that know me, I've spoken about this before. I have a thing, I love junk food and our nightly desserts. The rest of it, I mean, we overall eat healthy other than that, but
Right.
that was something, a habit that we knew that we wanted to break. So
Right.
the initial adjustment was that. I did not know that I was going to be starting the prep with my calories as high as they were. So I mentally prepared to hit the ground running in a deficit. But JJ did something that I thought was very smart, which is he held me at what would be equivalent of my maintenance calories and stuff for the first 5 weeks, learning my body, being able to work on some weaknesses at a time that I was still very well fed, and it allowed us to really solidify our habits before the calories started to get cut.
Changing one thing at a time, basically.
And what we really had to look at is what was going to change in the home. Like, we are used to eating all of our meals together.
Every
I cook
single meal.
all of our food, every meal together, and I make them yummy and tasty. So it was discussions like, is this still going to have butter in? Are we still going to eat the same foods? Scott going to eat my diet foods? Are we going to have different meals? So not that we have the perfect solution on this, but we have an open communication process of
Right.
what that looks like. But I think the bigger change has been in our training.
Absolutely. A
So-
huge change. And by the way, JJ, thanks for not manipulating those calories too soon.
So, not going to make this run on forever, but Scott started out as a client of mine, and I have always served as his coach. But in addition to his coach, we have been training partners now for better part
5 years,
half
yeah.
a decade.
Yeah.
And he's used to me coming up with the workouts, and I have come up with, again, I have not been competing, so I do things that we enjoy, that we can both do together, that we can do in a comfortable environment, which for the most part is right here in our garage.
Right.
And it was a big thing to turn over the reins. The style of training is new to me, relatively new to me, but it is completely foreign to you.
100% foreign. And it was not a comfortable transition.
And we're just, again, in full disclosure, we, at the very first week, we broke up as training partners.
Only as training partners.
And I think we realized that it was more important for us, just a personal decision for us, to train together.
Right.
And we got back to training together. So Scott follows my program with me, whether it's what's best for his body or not. He follows right alongside with me. right alongside of me.
Yeah, absolutely.
He doesn't always love all of the glute work, but we do our training together.
We do our training together, and I think for both of us, it makes us both feel better to know that we're not going through it alone. And although it's very challenging physically and mentally for me, and I don't really do well with change, go figure, but one thing that stays constant is my workout partner, and I didn't want that to change. So I swallowed a little bit of my desires, my preferences, what I believe to be the best, and who knew? I'm actually enjoying it. So.
And we will get more into the workouts in the upcoming episodes, but I think the most challenging part for us was to leave an environment of absolute control. So the first go-to for us, the least obstacle is to train right here on our own garage. Right. Before work in the morning, we don't have to commute anywhere, we don't have to share equipment, we don't have to share space with anyone, and now we are going out and having to do things in a commercial gym, which has presented a bit of a challenge. Do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Sure, we can do that. I'll try to keep it brief because I know we're at 21 minutes right now. But one of the things that a lot of online coaches will do is they want you to take a video. And in this gym, fine, no problem. There's no one else except Hank and Lucy, and I think you all actually like seeing Hank and Lucy. But when we're in the commercial gym, Gillian wants me to take a video, and rightfully so her coach can critique her performance, but I am uncomfortable with taking a video she's my wife. I'm uncomfortable taking a video of my wife in the gym because it's not just the two of us in there. There's all kinds of different people in there, and they may be in the background or they may not want to be in the background. So that's been difficult to overcome. I don't want to disrespect someone else's time. I don't want to disrespect someone else's workout. And I don't want them to feel uncomfortable in a place that they may turn to for some kind of relaxation or just for them to be in their own moment without potentially being splashed all over social media or YouTube or what have you.
So we have decided no videos in the commercial gyms.
Unless it's empty, in which case that's fine.
And I think the other thing that we really like our garage gym is Scott has a little bit of a hearing impairment.
A little bit.
And
she's on my good side though, so we're okay.
Yes. And with all of the loud noise in the gym, the music and other stuff, it is often hard to hear me. And it raises our stress level. So whenever possible, we usually choose to work out in our garage.
And as you can tell by some of the sweat that's going on and some of the growing hair over here, I wish it would happen over here, but not so much. But the only thing we have is the heater that's right here, but we don't have air conditioning in here. So that also presents a little bit of a challenge.
So about the growing hair, if I had one wish, if I had a genie in a bottle, I hope that my legs continue to grow the way my hair grows in this humidity.
There we go. All right. Well, like I said, we're running a bit long on this one, so we're just going to cut it there. I want to thank you all for joining Gillian and I in this process along the road in this journey. And if you want to follow Gillian, follow her at Gillian Ward Athlete on Instagram, and same thing on Facebook.
And what you could expect, the plan right now is to put a video like this out. We'll get shorter and we'll get better at this, roughly once every 2 weeks. Additionally, you're gonna see a lot of content on Instagram and on Facebook, and I hope to be able to continue to write about these experiences, and we are gonna get all of the meaty quality stuff out there before I am absolutely starving and losing brain cells.
There we go. All right, well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Take care.